cyclists attack it with a vengeance towards La Tour that has immortalized farmers' sons and turned athletes into legends. The reward for a date with the Tour de France is pain, exhaustion. This test of will they call a bike race would make the Marquis de Sade proud to be a Frenchman. If the Tour de France is the ultimate athletic challenge, then it's also a magnificent serpent of colors, coursing through the hundreds of tiny French towns, and then joining them with the common bond that has and always will draw millions of fans from their homes. The pictures tell it all quite simply. This is not just another sporting event. And it's an event that finds American Greg LeMond, one of the favorites to win this race. The 24-year-old from Washoe County, Nevada, rewrote sports history, finishing third last year, and now rides on a French team that includes the legendary Badger, Bernard Hinault. Hinault has conquered the race 4 times, but was denied a 5th last year by another Frenchman, this man, Laurent Fignon. But Fignon is out this year to an injury, and so for teammates LeMond and Hinault, the battle for a win will be against one another. And who could have designed a more magnificent stadium in which to stage it all? Every day, a different race. And every day, over all types of terrain.
And it's you all by yourself against the clock. The race behind me is about 4 miles, and it'll take only about 9 minutes. But you're going as hard as you can, so you just ache. And you can tell yourself 1,000 times you want to quit. Shapiro, only the 3rd American to ever ride in the Tour. The 25-year-old New York native was a last-minute replacement for an injured teammate and has now suddenly found himself in a race of his life. In a time trial, every second is precious, and to do well requires absolute concentration and sheer determination. Let me tell you from personal experience that it's a lonely race where you must really dig down deep to do well. This is the first of 5 time trials in the Tour, and though they're relatively short, only the strongest riders will finish on top. Look at any rider, and it's easy to see why the time trial means pushing yourself beyond what you might think is possible.
Oh putain.
Still to ride, back down near the start, waits Greg LeMond. And is this the face of a man about to meet the watch? And will his jersey soon turn to yellow? We'll be back. $4,000 solid wheels to pointy plastic helmets. No effort has been spared to try and shave seconds off the clock at the time trial. This is the new wave of racing bikes at the Tour de France. Track racers have used them for years. And although they're not durable enough to survive the mountains, they will help you beat the clock. American Greg LeMond in the start house, ready to pedal the first strokes in a Tour which he is favored to win. The race is barely 4 miles, but LeMond knows that in the all-out war against the watch, there is only pain. For LeMond, the challenge is not only to try and win the Tour, but to be the first American ever to wear the yellow jersey.
But ahead of LeMond, Eric van der Orden is something of a specialist in what the Belgians call these races of truth. And this Belgian, well known for his kamikaze tendencies, is out to spoil LeMond's hopes of victory.
LeMond's tempo becomes that of a madman, alone with his bike and an internal clock. The American is tugged along by the thousands of French cycling fanatics who've adopted this 24-year-old as one of their own cycling superheroes.
When you can't see your adversary, then you have to go as fast as you can. And van der Orden, who's no hill specialist, is driven on at the thought of LeMond chasing behind. Pretty good. The best time so far.
But cued in the start house is a man whose ears will soon be ringing with the chants of the name that has become synonymous with cycling excellence. Bernard Hinault is off the starting line. And to crush to record the ride of a legend becomes panicked and dangerous.
In French, Le Monde means the world, and the whole planet seems to be around today to watch Greg, who may be American, but the French still appreciate a champion, especially one who rides in a French team.
But back behind, Hinault parts the crest of a screaming wave of those who have watched him demolish the best in the world. Francis Badger gnaws away at a ticking clock that has always been his ally. Le Monde draws the cheers from the crowd who know he has an appointment with the history books as he tries to become the first American to ride into the yellow jersey. The race against the watch, and there is no time for even one mistake.
In time trialing, support is always at hand, but at a distance. And it's no help to Le Monde here as he slips his chain. This is why the time trial is called the race of truth. There's no room for error, and there's no one to hide behind. The legs under effort 1 minute are now screaming with pain as Le Monde tries to correct his error. Remember, up front, Van der Orden is smiling with a great time. Behind, Hinault is coming up fast. Le Monde has no time to think or even call for help because the watches continue to tick. And now he must work hard to rectify a mistake. Le Monde tries to recoup his lost time, for a few seconds lost now may haunt him later.
Back on the course, and the loudspeakers have told the crowd that Hinault's pace may well win him that golden fleece because Le Monde's mistake was costly.
Oh, it's hard. I put my chain into my wheel with the last half kilometer to go. I must have lost 5 seconds at least there. But it's just a prologue. Still 3 weeks ago.
And so the final 100 meters for the man from Brittany playing here at home. And Bernard Hinault proves that at 30 years old, he still has the strength to best a field 180 strong. The exhausted yet triumphant Frenchman has done it once again. So the standings after the time trial, and the stage is set for this most amazing bike race based on overall elapsed time. Marked in yellow on day one? Well, to many it came as no surprise, really. A fitting color for this great champion. But to the French, Hinault represents not only sporting excellence. You see, Bernard Hinault has also won the hearts of France with his comeback story. It was 2 years ago when the man who had 4 times conquered the Tour was knocked out of competition with tendinitis. So why not retire a millionaire? Well, that would not do for this superhero who had grown accustomed to the taste of success. So last year, the Badger attempted a gallant comeback, but the comeback fell short, and the constant crush of the press to record it all exposed the Badger with his teeth bared. One year later, here in '85, and a more confident Hinault, now the first in yellow. He rides in what can only be called a dream team. It was Hinault himself who took Greg LeMond under his wing, hired him on his team, and now LeMond, the former world champion, joins the Frenchman, and the two have become a most auspicious tandem. But how much team spirit will the two share when the finish line begins to grow closer? And who's working for whom? We'll be back. Bernard Hinault reading about cover boy Bernard Hinault in L'Équipe, France's #1 sports magazine. And he's had occasion to do that a lot in his long career riding a bicycle. Now, after Friday's first day of racing, Hinault wears the yellow leader's jersey. Just 21 seconds behind Hinault is his teammate, American Greg LeMond, making some last-minute preparations. It's time for the second day of racing and the longest single-day race of this year's Tour de France. 179 riders begin the 160-mile trek, mostly through the intimate back roads of Brittany. It's really a race through Bernard Hinault's backyard. The Tour de France, an event, the scope of which can only be realized after a look at the arena. France. This This year's tour makes its start just outside Vaughan, 18 miles from the open sea. It was in the 6th century Celtic tribes fleeing the Vikings in Great Britain migrated here. They called themselves Bretons and called this area where the cyclists will spend 4